tick? Is there a tick? Somebody commented on one of my last videos that they heard the Hemi tick coming from my Scat Pack, and now it's got me paranoid and listening constantly. And I don't know. I'm just so used to listening to it. What do you guys think? I'll put you back down in there with this huge microphone and see if you can hear it. Yeah, I don't think it's ticking. Well, you tell me. No, I think we're good. Alright, well, let me know what you guys think. Let's go ahead and get this video started. Hey, who has actually snapped their fingers in these things before? Anybody? It's so it just reminds you what life is about. And when you just get your fingernail just snapped right in between this thing, it's so awakening. I've literally done it like 20 times, and it will bring you to life really quick. And the language that comes out of my mouth when that happens is special. Amazing the amount of pain that can come from a fingernail, and how this little thing can bite you so quickly. It'll be fun. Alright, I'm always cautious. Here we go. Let's go have this conversation. Alright, let's get started. So, I've had probably every third or fourth video, somebody will ask me whatever happened with the Napletons situation when I bought my Hellcat, my blue Hellcat, and it had to be unwound after like 2 months because it was a 49 state car, and sent back. And then I ordered a red eye, and then I made a bunch of videos about that, and then I backed out on that red eye, and then I never got a Hellcat again, and ended up with a Scat Pack, and I never talked about it. I never talked about what happened specifically. I just kind of let it go with, I backed out, and that was the end of that. Maybe I briefly mentioned it in a video or two, but I mean, I didn't say much. And I think it's a great story. It's an interesting story, and it's a story that definitely affected our market with these cars. It's a story that led to me getting, it felt like, eternally priced out of ever getting a Hellcat again. And that's kind of what it felt like. And you can all go back and watch my videos. I mean, this is what happened. I ended up getting that Scat Pack, and I am not getting a Hellcat. And I shared with you all, I was out shopping and I couldn't find them, and I was having trouble dealing with the markups. And some of you were asking, and sometimes when I talk about the markups, you ask me what happened with Napletons, because I had an in. I bought 3 cars from them. It seemed like things were going swimmingly. Every time I needed a car, I would fly my rear end out to St. Louis and go to Napletons right outside of St. Louis and drive that car back. And it made for great content, and I saved the $10,000, $15,000 of markups over the last 3 years, when everyone else, especially in bigger metropolitan areas like LA and Orange County, California, and other areas where the dealers were just nailing the daylights out of people with markups. So I found the solution, established a relationship, and I did videos about that dealership. I sent, I would say probably, I don't know, 10 plus buyers, if not more, to go buy cars from there. I don't know how many actually did, but I know some of you did and messaged me that it was because of my videos that you went and bought a car from Napletons. So what happened? It just kind of went quiet. And here's what happened. And I'm going to share the story because it does tie to and become very relevant to what we all had to deal with, and why, to an extent, we can't let the manufacturer, Dodge, off the hook when it comes to these markups and completely blame it on the dealerships. And this is a little twist that I know you all know, but some of you out there might not realize the impact of this. So let's get to it. So bottom line is, without going too far back in history, I was getting beat up on the markups like everybody back in 2021 or so. But I got an offer. I had my black Hellcat red eye, and I sold it. I got offered more than I paid for it, and sold it to AutoNation when I sold my daily driver Prius, because I didn't need that either during COVID. So I sold both of them and ended up buying that indigo blue Scat Pack. I could not find that Scat Pack anywhere in California without a $15,000 to $20,000 markup. Well, my wife went to visit our friends in the Midwest. I was going to join them a few days later, and I found a car. Actually, she found the car at Napleton's. I actually found it at one other dealership out there that ended up screwing us and changing the deal on us, and she found this one at Napleton's. It was the indigo blue Scat Pack, and no markup, nothing. They were fans of the channel. It was great. I flew out there. My wife was handcuffed to the steering wheel so that they didn't sell it out from under us, and it turned out to be the greatest experience. And the salesman, whose name was Nate, was outstanding. The kid was awesome. He knew I was driving it back, and I joked about wanting, all I needed was Red Bull and beef jerky, and he pulls out from behind his desk a huge 12-pack of Red Bull and a whole box of beef jerky, and hands it to me and says, have a great trip. And just everything about that transaction was pleasurable. No markups. They didn't nail me with a bunch of junk fees. Even the general manager, Mike, was phenomenal and just incredibly kind and respectful and just friendly. And my wife kept saying, well, yeah, it's because the people in the Midwest are just nice. They're just nice people. And they absolutely were. And to this day, they still are. But things got really, really screwed up because I bought that indigo blue car, and that indigo blue car was amazing. And the plan was, okay, I'm going to buy another Hellcat, but I'm going to order the Hellcat. So in the meantime, I've got that beautiful Scat Pack. The market was going great, so no way I could lose money on that thing. And I'll place an order for a Hellcat, a regular 707 or 717, I think, horsepower Hellcat. It would be a 2022 indigo blue with a sepia interior. Something I've never had before. Interesting interior, some love it, some hate it. So I put that order in with them, of course, with no markup at all. It took a little while for the car to show up, but the car finally showed up, and I did the deal. And they ended up shipping it, but charged me for shipping it. And after having already bought one car from them for full MSRP, and then buying this car for full MSRP, and giving them so much promotion on my YouTube channel for free, that I expected that they would ship it to me and just cover that cost. I mean, it's a small price to pay for all the promotion and goodwill that I was giving them. And they didn't. But once the car showed up, and there was, I can't remember, there was some stuff missing. There were some issues with getting the remote paperwork done, and the deal kind of got mucked up a little bit between getting the paperwork done and then getting the order done and getting the order to show up. To Mike's credit, he stepped up and covered the shipping costs and actually sent me a check to cover the shipping costs. So again, just the type of business you want to do business with, that when things didn't go perfectly, then they resolved the issue and took care of the customer. So I love that. That's the kind of dealership that I was talking about in my last video. Do the right thing. I gave them 5 or 6 examples of how things did not go the way they were supposed to go, and rather than just saying, well, tough luck, we sold you for MSRP, they said, let us make it right. And they did. And it wasn't about, like, don't blast this on social media. It wasn't about that. It was like, hey, Brad, we want this to be a good experience. You've been nothing but a great customer to us. Second car you bought from us, so be it. Love that. Well, then, 2 months later, I'm wondering, why is my paperwork taking so long? I paid the taxes to them for California. They were handling all the registration stuff. I finally get a packet of stuff from a registration company, a third-party company that handles all that stuff. And in there it says, okay, just take the car to get the VIN verified at the DMV and get the car smogged. I took the car to get smogged, no big deal, passed with flying colors, but it came with an extra sheet that said VLT flag or warning or something like that. And the smog guy says, yeah, this is not a good thing. Go see my DMV registration lady around the corner and she'll explain. And I'm like, this doesn't sound good. And now that it's been flagged, it's in the system as a car that, while it passed smog, can't be registered in California. Okay, that's an issue. So I go to the registration place and the lady goes, yeah, there's nothing you can do. Now, I've since learned that there's ways you can do it. Go to the DMV and you can get a sticker, and there's go to the dealer. There's a solution one of my subscribers found. So if anybody has that issue, let me know and I'll go find that messages and get them to you. But nonetheless, at the time, nobody could solve the problem. Dodge corporate got involved. I got calls from people directly connected to Tim Kuniskis, and they were dancing to make things right. But somebody screwed up. They knew I lived in California. They knew I was going to get the car shipped to California. They knew all this, and somebody didn't check a button. Somebody didn't put the right sticker on. Somebody didn't pay the fee to California. Whatever. To this day, I don't know if it was the manufacturer or the dealer that screwed up. And in the end, it just was what it was. And you know what? I'm a forgiving guy. I chalked it up to things happen. We're out. Just take the car back, even though I would still have that car to this day, and I would be perfectly fine and happy with that car. It was an incredible, incredible car. But had to unwind it, and that's really hard to do considering, I ordered that car and drove that car for 2 months. They gave me back all my money, and it was a smooth unwind after a month and a half of trying to find a solution, and Dodge calling me up and saying they're going to make it right. To this day, I've been told by people at Dodge that it was because of that situation that every Demon has gotten delivered as a 50-state car. So I believe that because this came from pretty high up through all of this drama since then that I've had. So of course I gave that car back, and they said, Brad, but we'll get you an allocation. Go ahead and place an order. Well, interest rates were 3.5%, 4%, so I ordered my red-eye black Charger with the light gray interior, the blue calipers, the blue stripes. I mean, this car was going to be ridiculous, and all in is going to be $100,000. All good, no big deal. I wanted the car. It was going to be a 2023 or 2022 car. It took a long time for that car to get built. I mean, it was 5 months or something. It took a while. And by the time that car got built and I got the call from the dealership that it was there, we were just a few weeks away from 2023 orders opening up. And I went to my credit union and I got approved for the loan, but they hit me. That was when rates went to the moon towards the end of 2022. And I got hit with 10% interest with a 722 FICO score. So that was pretty bad. It was over 10%. It was brutal. And at that point, the payment was going to be like $1,600 a month for a red-eye, a 2022, and the last calls were coming out. That's when Dodge and Tim had announced all the Speed Week stuff, that the 2023s are going to have the badge, last call badge, the final year badge. There was going to be some special edition cars. We started learning all this stuff, and I'm like, well, then I'll tell you what, you guys keep that car, and I'm going to back out. And can you hook me up? Can you get me a 2023 allocation for a regular Hellcat? Because now since rates are so high, I'm going to drop the price down to like 85, or I don't remember what the price was, but $85,000, $86,000, whatever it was. I'm going to drop it from the cost of the red-eye. And that was going to make up for the higher interest rate. And then I was hoping by the time the 2022 showed up, or 2023 showed up, that rates would at least subside a little bit. I didn't know. And I had my daughter's car, her birthday coming up, where she's going to be 16, and we needed to get her a car. So, and you could talk trash about that, but we got her a car, a very nice car. So I figured I'm going to stop all that stuff. They told me it'd be no problem to get me an allocation, and this is where things got screwed up. Things got screwed up because Dodge announced that they would have a horsepower locator, and the allocations were going to be divvied up by dealers based on their performance, and whatever those metrics were, I figured no problem. It seemed like Napletons did a lot of business, and since they promised me and told me they would definitely get me a 23 order, it wouldn't be an issue. They had taken my 2022 and sold it, and there was a little bit of pressure, which I did not appreciate at the time, to make the decision, or we're gonna have to sell it. And a few things that were not super honest that did bug me a little bit about the text messages, because the market was so hot that I suspect they were getting a markup. Now, I can't attest to that. I have no clue, but it felt like they were hot to sell that car, and because they told me in a text that Dodge called and wanted to find out why that jailbreak's not sold yet. It had only been, you know, a week or something. I was trying to make the decision on the interest rates and stuff. So a little bit of pressure, which was frustrating. So when I backed out, I was like, sorry for backing out. And they were totally cool because they could sell the car to somebody else that other buyers willing to pay, probably more than me. And I was fine with that. Keep the extra money. Just give me a 23 allocation on a Hellcat. Okay, we were set. Orders open. I find out, I text, and I'm like, hey, our order's open. And what do I get back? A text message that says, yes, but we only got one Hellcat allocation, and that's going to be 10,000 over. And some of you are going to be like, well, that's not that bad, Brad. They were 50,000 over California. I won't pay a markup, period, especially $10,000. I'm not going to pay a markup, but ever. It's just not going to happen. So, especially after now, keep in mind, I bought the blue car, I bought the other blue Hellcat, then I bought the white Scat Pack, which I left out of this conversation. I went back on vacation out there. I bought the Scat Pack, figuring that that I would be able to get a 2023 order in. So I bought the white one in 2022 to replace the blue Hellcat that went back. So I bought three cars from them and paid them what they asked for those cars. And one of them had to get unwound. So between those 3 cars, one of them getting unwound, ordered the other one, gave them that was an allocation they got to sell to somebody else and make money on. They weren't able to give me their one allocation because they only had one. They said, we only have one, so we have to charge a markup, which was a complete departure from, we don't do markups. We're never going to charge you a markup, Brad. We're good. You've got a friend in me. And I was awesome. So just give me the allocation. Nope, that one allocation, 10,000 over, and there was no negotiation. It was like, if you want it, so be it, but you know, it's 10,000 over. At that point, they only got one allocation. So I put some responsibility on Dodge, that Dodge gave allocations out in, you know, I don't want to say unfair, because performance and meritocracies, I believe in these things, like reward those who are successful. But the problem is when they gave all these allocations to these huge dealerships, it gave them the ability to hoard those cars and really drive markups to the moon. And what it did conversely for all the smaller dealerships, the lower volume dealerships who only got a couple allocations, it forced dealers that otherwise would never do markups to now have no choice but to do markups, because they only had one car to make any money on for the whole year. So I kind of understood where Napletons was coming from. I really did. I felt bad for them, actually, even though I was upset that they wouldn't just waive it for me. But how special am I when that whole dealership only got one Hellcat allocation to make any money on for the whole year? And the couple Scat Packs, I mean, they really did get hosed on allocations. And all of this I verified on the horsepower locator. So I don't blame them. I'm not mad at them. I never was mad at them. They did nothing but treat me phenomenally. I enjoyed the people there. Nate was outstanding. Nate, every time I bought a car, he handed me the Red Bull and beef jerky, and it was a pleasure working with them. And they were fans of the channel, and when I'd get there, they'd take pictures, and it was just so much fun. And they washed the cars up. They even tinted the windows for me once. I mean, I can't complain. But when they got hosed down into one allocation and then could not give me the 2023 allocation as what I felt was a promise, it upset me, but not as much at them as just at the whole situation. Dodge giving them one allocation, them only having one card, one Hellcat to sell all year. So for me to bully them into, well, you told me you would do it for no markup, you told me you're my buddy, you guys won't do this to me, and then you have to give up the one car you have for when you're gonna sell it for 10 over. I mean, they're gonna have 20 buyers wanting it at the time. I was done. So for that reason, I stopped working with Napletons, primarily just because they didn't get any allocations. They didn't have any cars. They had nothing for me to buy. And I go back every year. I'll go back next year, and certainly I'll go look on their lot and see what they have, and who knows, especially with what's going on next year. And I believe that if they had more allocations, they would have done me right. They would have done it properly. What I appreciate about them is through all the problems that I had, never did they stop talking to me, abandon me, tell me I'm on my own, wish me luck, be disrespectful, nothing like that. So that's why I never got on here and talked about it. But today I'm talking about it. Mike was an amazing guy, and Nate was an amazing guy. Nate was so great that I never even wanted to make a video that might not come out right. Since then, Nate has left and went on his own with another, I think, used car dealership, and it appears, based on everything I watch on his Instagram, that he is doing a phenomenal job and making a great living and thriving, because he is one of the good ones. He is one of the good salespeople. So with that, everybody, that's what happened, and that's how these allocations screwed a lot of us. Dodge gave out huge allocations to dealers that can now hoard the cars and mark them up to the moon, because you couldn't go to your trusted dealership, the one that was doing you right, the ones that were doing no markups, that traditionally did no markups, didn't do a lot of volume, and then didn't get any allocations, so they got forced into doing markups. Then when I know somebody's gonna say, well, they weren't forced to, they weren't forced to, but you got one allocation for the whole year. That kind of sucks when you're trying to pay the bills on a dealership. So the whole horsepower locator thing and the allocation distribution, I think, created a situation that culminated in massive markups, massive control of inventory in the hands of many dealers that had never, ever, ever waived markups. They've always did markups. Now they got a bunch of cars to do markups with. And the smaller dealers who were wanting to keep those deep, long-term relationships ended up getting forced into a bad position with not enough allocations to be able to take care of their past customers the way they used to do it. So with that, everybody, hope that finally answers all the questions. Please like, subscribe, comment, share this video with anyone that you think could use it, and I'll see you in the next one.